Live tonight from the sprint car capital of the world in Knoxville, Iowa. We're live from Knoxville Raceway with the fourth round of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. You'll see it all coming at you live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello everyone, I am Gary Weaver. With me in the booth is Devin Henry, and working hard behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak. While he's pushing the buttons, making things look pretty, he's got assistance from the camera provider of Dougie Beard, who makes things look just that much better. Before we start tonight's event, let's take a look and see how exactly we get around Knoxville Raceway.
You are looking at the sprint car capital of the world, Knoxville Raceway. Located in Knoxville, Iowa, 45 minutes southeast of Des Moines, Knoxville needs little introduction to racing fans around the globe. Home to the Knoxville Nationals, this half-mile clay oval is known for its blistering speeds despite the relative lack of banking. While the corners here are angled just 8 degrees, Knoxville's wide corners and fast surface have seen the World of Outlaws cars lap this track in 14.4 seconds, averaging speeds around 125 miles per hour. Virtual drivers love Knoxville because it's a multi-lane track that plays into drivers of many different track preferences. Like a slick track, well, you're going to find a home on the inside line to the middle of the track, which is sure to slick off quick in a main event. Makes for great slide job opportunities as well. Want to run up on the cushion? Well, there's plenty of grip to be found up there, and high-speed runs can be made on the exit of both corners here. It results in some of the best side-by-side, back-and-forth racing on the iRacing service. And Knoxville's not just for sprint car fans. Hop into a late model, take a few laps around here, you'll find a car perfectly equipped to handle the high speeds and slicked-off nature of Knoxville. But be careful in the big cars. Both the late model and street stock have a penchant for hopping the berm on the inside of the track. And while there's not necessarily a wall for you to catch down there, that high berm will spin you around before you can blink. The Knoxville Nationals, as we mentioned, run here annually in August. It pays $1 million to the winner. Knoxville Raceway, also home to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. You can see that just off of turn number 2. Well, that's our look at Knoxville Raceway. What do you say we line them up 4 wide and let the green flag fly?
And that is how we get around Knoxville Raceway here with your GSRC lap guide. But for a little bit more info on how Knoxville is, let's take it to Devin Henry over on right next to me. Devin?
Well, it's always great to be at the sprint car capital of the world at the Marion County Fairgrounds in Knoxville, Iowa. This track is pretty evenly banked all across the track at about 8 degrees. And the length of it depends on where you run. On the inside, you will get that large half-mile run. But actually, if you want to try to rip the lip tonight, you're actually going to be going about 9/16 of a mile. That's just how wide this track is. Knoxville first started running stock cars back on June 4th of 1954. They don't really run street stocks at Knoxville anymore, though. But your first ever winner in the stock cars was Kenny Crook in the number CXXIII, or in other words, the 123 car. But now we actually get some guys who like to run now instead of back in the 1950s to bring out these stock cars at the beautiful Knoxville Raceway.
And here for tonight, this action is brought to you by the Cruise Shop, which has been in operation since 1986. They are a team of highly experienced travel agents that have a huge passion for travel. They specialize in cruises, all-inclusive resorts, escorted tours, Disney, and family travel groups, honeymoons, and weddings. They would love the opportunity to help you plan your next vacation. Give them a call today at 260-755-6125 or visit thecruiseshopfw.com. The Cruise Shop is dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams one destination at a time. Let's take a look at Justin Morton now. I think it will be time to bring up the championship standings here. Ever since 2 weeks ago at Limaland, it has definitely changed up just ever so slightly, with Tyler Jackson still in the lead, with Bobby Rafferty and Justin Morton second and third tied essentially for second place. Michael Redding fourth place in points, with Steven Spees in the fifth place position. So starting to become a little bit of a spread out battle for the time being. And while Tyler Jackson is here tonight, I'm pretty sure he's looking to make another name for a name for himself throughout this season.
Yeah, already coming in pretty quick. Not only did he win last season at this track, but right now already on top of the board, a 23.218. Fastest on the board, outrunning second place Aiden Young, or third place, excuse me, by already a tenth of a second. He went out early, got his lap in. Now just going to kind of sit back and wait for qualifying to come up here in a few minutes.
Yeah, he's pretty. Yeah, while he's the defending champion, he's still on a tear. This is why he's the defending champion, of course. At this point, while it is early in the season, it doesn't look like anything can stop Tyler Jackson at this point, but he's already looking to go back-to-back in his title defense, and he's looking very successful so far. So hopefully we get to see him still continue to race throughout the rest of the season. And, well, of course, tonight it's a little bit of interest, really, to see how Tyler Jackson can handle this racetrack. Well, if the practice times weren't enough, I'm pretty sure the performance on track will be more than enough to convince you.
Absolutely, and you know, he's known as the bottom feeder. He's got the shark teeth on there, and this is a track that loves to attack bottom feeders. There's a really large berm on the bottom of the corners here, and even though these street stocks weigh about half a ton, and I mean, they just rip through things like a tank, if you get your left front tire up on that berm and you don't correct in time, that will eat you up, and it's either going to spit you out far across the corner to the wall, or it's going to have you spin out into the infield. So it's a little treacherous actually on the bottom, and of course when it comes to dirt tracks and when the tracks have a lot of nice moisture in them, you want to be able to run the bottom. It's the fastest way around the track, and it has as much grip as the outside. So early on in these heat races, we will see guys on the bottom, but boy, this track is just so wide. It's going to be exciting, Gary, seeing these guys fan out here about halfway through the heat races.
And speaking of those heat races, well, let's take a look at pretty much your entire night in general race details. Devin, go ahead and explain to us what we have tonight.
Well, in round number 4 of the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series, we are running heat races tonight. We'll have about 5 or 6 cars per heat race for as many heat races as it takes. 16 cars will make the feature in total out of those, and of course, the consolation race will make up the remaining of the field. And of course, the all-important, if you guys have been watching any of the NASCAR iRaces, those fast repairs are valuable, but here, you only get one.
And right now, for tonight as well, a little bit of a update essentially to the format for tonight, or pretty much going forward for the rest of the season. It's actually going to be now 20 cars maximum for the feature race, so that's a little bit different essentially compared to how we've been doing things. A little bit of a change as well, but right now as we take a look right now at Robbie Robinson continuing just to make laps, and already, I'm going to say it again, these cars are built like tanks. I'm not letting that go, to be quite honest, because I mean, they are. These could take a beating, but with being so far from the wall, however, I think for these drivers taking the inside lane as well, and maybe not the top side as often, these cars could be saved just ever so slightly from getting a little bit of damage. And well, Devin, what's the weather like over there?
Oh, it's a beautiful night. Of course, you know that, Gary. It always is a night. Well, not usually, but in the iRacing platform, at least it is. The air temperature is 68 degrees. Beautiful outside, partially cloudy. The track temp is nice and cool at 60. You won't see that play much of an effect, but maybe about 51%. A little bit of winds blowing southeast at 4 miles an hour. Don't expect the weather to really bang these guys up too much. They're going to be banging each other's doors off a little bit more than the weather's going to be worrying them.
Yeah, it's a little bit cooler than we have seen in the past few races especially, but right now it's going to be really just something to look out for, seeing if the temperature does really change the handling of the racetrack, and of course it does. It's a lot more obvious really when it comes to asphalt racing, but of course we're on dirt here, so I mean, Devin, we'll go back to you on this. How much does the temperature really affect how these drivers handle the racetrack at night versus the daytime?
It's going to change a little bit. It's not going to change a ton. I don't know how much iRacing actually has developed into how much the sun can actually evaporate the moisture from the track, but that's usually the biggest difference in the daytime. In the physical world is that when the sun is out, the track dries up nice and quick, but when the sun goes down, the moon and the stars rise up, that track can stay nice and tacky for a good amount of time. But yeah, these guys won't be worried too much about what the track is like due to weather. What they're going to worry about tonight is what the track is like once it starts to slick off. And we are going to have, it's a great field out here tonight. We're going to send 3 guys home who will not make the A feature. And so that's going to be an interesting storyline as we go through, and that consolation is going to have consequences.
And most definitely, that consolation race is something to look out for. The B main, which of course goes back into, before we head into our 5-minute and 4-lap qualifying. The qualifying will set the heats for both the heat races and the B main grid. 6-car heats, which will be inverted from qualifying. Top 3 will transfer to the feature race, with the remainder going to the B main, which we will always have, even if everyone does transfer. So it'll be quite interesting to see how that plays out for the format. A little bit of a last chance as well for some drivers, and maybe a little bit more aggression as well as we head into qualifying for tonight.
This will be interesting, Gary. We're seeing speeds about 140 miles an hour here as these guys rip around this very wide, very fast Knoxville Raceway. Coming out first on the track, looks like that's Aiden Young, who's coming out first trying to get down a quick lap.
Yeah, Devin, we haven't seen Aiden Young in quite some time, I believe, but he is, of course, 10th place coming into this race in the point standings. I'm pretty sure he's looking to get back out front, especially where he was at Eldora. And, well, for Aiden Young, it's going to be quite interesting to see how he handles with this racetrack. In practice, he was 3rd place, so he is a little bit of a challenge for Tyler Jackson at the moment he starts his first lap time, as it's going to be roughly, I believe that was 300 in kilometers, but right now, or sorry, 100 in kilometers right now. It's going to be in miles per hour, just about 95 for Aiden Young. That's so complete his first lap time. Let's see where he settles out.
Pushing the cushion. You see the cushion isn't quite to the wall yet, but he's definitely trying to go around the long way around about that 9/16 length. Boy, he's getting all close to that wall 1 and 2.
Yeah, he's getting really close. He's chancing it. He is first place, gets shuffled to 2nd place now by Robbie Robinson, who sets in his lap time to take over the pole just by under 1/10 of a second. And that timing tower is going to be something to really keep an eye on, as Robinson now takes to turns 3 and 4. Not everyone is going straight towards the inside cushion, interestingly enough. Aiden Young still getting shuffled down the order right now, unfortunately, as now Todd Liston is now your new pole sitter for tonight. Taking a look at Justin Morton now, who has taken over. And, of course, this top spot is going to shuffle many, many times. And it looks like, well, defending champ Tyler Jackson is on the racetrack. So everyone prepare the timing charts, because it looks like the 8th is looking to knock everybody off of the podium positions right now. He's taken to the very low side, interestingly enough. And we haven't seen anyone do that just quite yet. He's about 90 miles per hour entering the corner, but he's using the lower lanes as well to try and take an advantage of that as we ride on board, seeing how much he's working that wheel across the start-finish line. Tyler Jackson will place at the start-finish line in P3, interestingly enough. He does have a couple more laps.
Less than a 10th off Justin Morton there in the lead. He's still going to keep to that low groove, though. Great part about iRacing, oh, he's going to head up to the top here in 3 and 4. Great part about iRacing is that you can see if you go out late, okay, this line didn't work for me because I'm only, say, P3 in this case. What can I do to change that up? This time by the line for Tyler Jackson. Going to move up, actually moves down. Steven Speeds actually moves into 3rd. Jackson's qualifying in 4th.
Right now, Tyler Jackson, he's struggling at least with the qualifying conditions for the time being. And that is, of course, practice, and this qualifying session it did carry over, so he may have set that lap time very early on. As you take a look at Brock Lovett now, who's setting his lap time, currently sits 2nd place, a little bit slower last time around, just about 0.02 seconds slower. And Tyler Jackson only able to get up to 4th. He's on his last lap for the time being, as we are looking at the drivers rounding out their lap times here for the time being. Justin Morton might be on the pole. We'll see as Tyler Jackson rounds the corner off turn number 4, setting his final qualifying time. Can Jackson improve to get the pole this time by? Anticipation as it sets in. No, 4th place for Tyler Jackson.
How about the top 4 so far, Gary? Everyone's separated by less than a 10th between Morton, Lovett, Spees, and Jackson, as we have one of the fan favorite paint schemes now, Brandon Myers, out there on the track.
And Myers with essentially an iconic, well, pretty much an iconic paint scheme at this point. And one way or another, he's continuing to set some lap times. Hits the outside wall of turn number 2, unfortunately, though, and that is not going to work out for him as much as he thought it would. At this point, I believe he will finish up his qualifying time, but that will not count since he did hit the outside wall. But he does have a little bit more time, just under a minute, to set any practice laps that he does. Justin Morton is definitely doing so right now, still running even after his qualifying time.
I'd like to get some laps out there, and of course, depending on how early you go out in your heat race, it's good to know what the track is going to be like. And something that I like to do on iRacing regardless is stay in the rhythm. Because if you're in a late heat race, sometimes that can be a major disadvantage. So I like to stay out on the track sometimes, try to run some different lines and see what the car does.
Especially with the track state. It's going to be changing at some point around warm-up before we go into. So that is going to be a little bit of a thing to see how much the track will change, what these drivers have to anticipate for. And qualifying is about to end, so 2 drivers at this point will be going home for tonight's event, and everyone else will make it into the feature. The starting grid for heat race number 1, remembering that it's inverted from qualifying. We have starting in the first place position, Spencer Gray, and the number 93, Jared Melton will start in second place, and Joseph will round out the first half of the starting grid. Devin?
Robbie Robinson in the 56 will be outside row number 2. J.R. Shepard starting out in 5th, and Justin Moore in your fast qualifier starts from the tail here. It's going to be fun to watch him come through the pack, Gary.
Morton setting a very fast qualifying time in that session, and now he has to work his way at least to 3rd place. He could work his way up to even so much as 1st place if he wants to, but he may have to take it a little bit careful as we are now on track for our first of 2 pace laps. This will be the one time the pace truck will cross the start-finish line before it pulls off for your 8-lap feature with 4 heats scheduled for tonight. Any final thoughts, Evan, on what we're expecting to see here in Heat 1?
Well, we'll see how the track decides to change, but right now it's still kind of how it was at the end of qualifying, so we'll see where drivers start making adjustments. It might be this race, probably more likely the next race, though, because we're only going to have about 8 laps, but when you think about it, 6 cars, 8 laps. That's a lot of laps that's going to go down real quick on this track surface.
And this track surface will, of course, change over time as well. So we're going to be waiting to see, keeping an eye on what the track will do over the course of tonight. Pace truck getting ready to pull off the racetrack and leave the field in control of Spencer Gray and the number 93 machine. Pace truck pulls off, and the field now in control of the number 93 green hand of the starter, and we are racing in heat race 1 here for the Bootleg Racing League, and immediately with Jared Melton up on the top side, a great start. Spencer Gray did not get going, and I think he's going to get shuffled back here as we're just almost 3 wide as they get off turn number 2.
Check out in the back, Justin Moore using that cushion. He's already moved up 2 spots. He's looking for more here as they're side by side in front of him. He might be looking to try to thread that needle as it closes in 3 wide for 3rd.
And immediately all the way up to the 3rd place right away, just within about a lap, is Quinn Morton, although he does have Joe Segala on the inside. Robbie Robinson up to 2nd in 1st place as we're side by side for the final transfer spot between Segala and Morton right now, running the top side, interestingly enough, as well as the 75 of Melton. I wonder if that top side will even remotely try to come in a little bit later on if more drivers run that.
You can already see how in the middle of the track it's getting darker, blacker. That's rubber starting to slick off the track. But you can already see Robbie Robinson is still finding a way to make that lane work and is gaining ground on Rob Melton here.
And right now, Robinson trying to find a way to the inside lane, trying to use that inside lane as well as much as he can. You can see here in 3 and 4, it's that dark black slick line. It's not even entirely there as much as it is here in turns 1 and 2. It goes Morton down to the inside, almost making it 3 wide, but he does get by for 3rd place for the transfer spot. Now at this point, it's Robinson trying to make a charge now on the inside lane, Morton following suit. I wonder if he'll make it 3 wide or maybe have an attempt to make it 3 wide as he goes to the inside of Robbie Robinson. Side by side for 2nd place on the corner. 4 laps complete, 4 laps to go.
Robinson in 3 and 4 had too much gas and couldn't keep it on the bottom, slid up the track, and now Justin Moore wants to take a peek at P1.
Justin Morton wanting to set that. It's that he's continued to set, but this is going to be something for Jared Melton to wonder as Morton goes down to the inside. Will he try a slide job? He doesn't have enough space. He does slide a little bit. Drag race to the start finish line with 3 laps remaining. Jared Melton remains on the top side trying to run that in as much as possible, but Morton with the inside advantage of the line around the racetrack will almost clear the 75, but with a great run up on the top side, comes Melton with 2 laps to go at the start-finish line.
Gotta wonder when these guys are going to start trying to throw a few sliders here and there. There still is plenty of grip in the middle, but on the bottom, Justin Morton just about clears Gerard Melton here. Now he's looking for P1 from worst to first here. He's a little over halfway through heat race number 1.
Yeah, 2 laps to go coming to the white flag. Melton has a great run off on the outside of corner number 2. I think Robbie Robinson that's looking to try at least hold off his chances with 2 drivers battling behind for the time being. But right now, Justin Morton set the pole time in qualifying. Right now, he is doing a wonderful job setting the pace for the time being. He's going to lead off turn number 2 as it's a battle for second place just behind him. This is going to guarantee, of course, his win as he makes his way through turns 3 and 4. And Jared Melton just holds off Robbie Robinson for second place. The top 3 transfer. Morton comes off and wins heat 1 from 6th to 1st. Goes the number 9 on the machine. Jared Melton, second place, advances as well as Robbie Robinson. The second half of the field will go to the B main in your last chance qualifier.
Boy, you gotta love that, don't you, Gary? That's fun to watch those guys try to run up from the back. And you saw, once everyone started to shuffle up a lot, that battle for the final transfer spot became so much more aggressive because they started banging doors and they started trying to find a way, okay, what do I need to do to get through? And even for the bubble position, when you're sitting in second or third, you're still trying to push the issues a little bit, make sure that you get into that feature.
And of course, looking to get into the features of the bottom half of this field, but pretty much this entire heat in general. Starting first place is going to be the 24 of Austin Belke. Brendan Myers in the number 25 starts to his outside, and Dylan Schweer rounds out the third place position in the first half of the field.
Starting fourth in the 87 will be Todd Liston. Inside of row 3, the 14 of Kenny Kibbe. Brock Lovett will round out the field in the 66 car for heat race number 2, Gary.
And right now, keeping reminder that this is going to be, of course, inverted. All heats are inverted, so keep an eye on Brock Lovett. At this point, it's just by prediction at this point, and maybe a little bit of hope as well for some of these drivers that are in the bottom half of the field, being Brock Lovett and Kenny Kibbe. We have seen Kenny Kibbe pretty much hang around, really, just around the mid-pack of the field, maybe top side as well, first half of the field as well during some of these past few races. And he is definitely looking to try and make as much of a charge as possible for this second heat. 7th place in points coming into this race, 1 point behind Jared Shepard.
Obviously playing to fight for. Of course, it's still a pretty long season from here on out, but we already know we're talking about Tyler Jackson, how far away he's come in the points. Well, when you're further back in the field, that makes you go, okay, there's a gap from first to second. Maybe that means I can try to jump from, say, 5th to 2nd, something like that. Every point matters, even if we're this early in the season.
And speaking of every point mattering, Austin Belke looking to advance into the feature. Field will be in control of him now as the pace truck pulls off the racetrack. Heat race number 2 is going to be green and go as of right now. It is green lights active and green flag waving as Austin Belke brings the field down into turns 1 and 2. And already Brock Lovett with a very wide entry in the background. And it's going to be a mad scramble for second place behind him.
Weir will settle into second. Myers is way up on the wall in the back straightaway, almost 3 wide going into 3. And Brock Lovett kind of just sitting back right now, a little bit behind your front 5.
Right now, that front 5, yeah, Brock Lovett, I think he's trying to have a little bit of a waiting game strategy. Let everyone else battle and come to him at this point. As Kenny Kibbe almost got a little bit of a tap from Todd Liston. Right now for the lead, it's Dylan Schweer trying to battle for the lead, trying to get up there, trying to get up front as well. Again, he is a little bit faster, inverted, so we'll see if Schweer can get to the inside. He does, a little bit on the inside curbing, but nothing doing as of yet, although he remains on the inside lane. As 24 goes way up top with a very high entry, and he will almost actually get a great run off turn number 2. I thought he was going to lose the position, but turn 2 on the outside looks to be a very good corner to really try and keep that top side.
Belke and Schweer trying to run away from the field. Contact in the back between Myers and Todd Liston. As Liston goes behind the berm. Brock Lovett has to check up, though, and he's still way behind. And just like that, Kenny Kibbe in that final transfer spot is way out of reach now for these back 3 cars.
And now it's your top 3 battling for amongst themselves, and they're also in the transfer spot. Belke up top, 14 of Kenny Kibbe on the inside lane. He starts second to last, think about that, as compared to Brock Lovett, who's still in last place, and he has yet to really make his way up through the field. So Belke at this point tries to defend the top side and use that top side as much as possible. So we're currently halfway through the first heat. And I don't know, Brock Lovett may have waited a bit too long, as he does get on the berm too much on the inside lane of turns 1 and 2.
Trying to find a way around Todd Liston. You see Brandon Myers a bit higher in the field, but Schreer right now still leading the field here, coming to 3 to go. And it looks like Kenny Kibbe finds his way around Belkey, now trying to find his way, ripping the lip. Going to try to catch up to Schreer here, and of course, Scary, every spot matters here too, because that puts you up another couple spots when we get to the feature event.
Yeah, that extra spot does matter. It even matters when it comes to the B main, as Myers and Liston continue to battle amongst themselves behind your top 3. The more these two battle, though, the more that's not really going to help them in trying to transfer into the B main. So we'll see if Myers can try and utilize that top side as much as Belkey. Right now, Liston seems to be making a very great charge with just 1 lap to go at the start-finish line. We'll see how that plays out for the transfer spot. Meanwhile, Dylan Schwier has absolutely run away with this for the most part. Started 3rd, currently sits up top in 1st place. White flag this time by for the 05. Kibbe runs in 2nd place. And it's going to be all eyes on the transfer spot for 3rd place between the 24 and the 87. Right now, Kibbe and Schwier, we might be seeing a battle between them as they come down the back straightaway through turns 3 and 4. Kibbe has nothing for the 05. That means it's going to be Dylan Schwier rounding off turn number 4. He'll win and advance to Heat 1 as there's contact in the back with Liston, but Schwier advances. Kibbe 2nd place, and Austin Belkey in an incredible defense will get the 3rd place transfer spot after Liston made contact, and he will unfortunately have to go to the B main.
Boy, how about Austin Belkey there, having to put up quite a fight to fight his way into the A main. So far, I think almost all year, that's probably the greatest fight that I've seen so far, having to hold off the rest of the pack there to head his way into the A main.
Very interesting battle you saw as well in the top right corner. Kenny Kibbe set the fastest lap in those closing laps. I think he was just starting to get the hang of that. But right now, your starting grid for heat race number 3, second to last heat race as well. Roger Woody in the 09 starts off in 1st place. And there's Aiden Young, 2nd place. 3rd place will be Donnie Moore. And Michael Redding and Steven Spees round out the 5-car field for this heat race. And, well, Devin, do you see any major differences as of yet here, especially with turns 1 and 2 looking drastically different compared to 3 and 4?
Yeah, and that's going to make for some interesting racing because, as you mentioned, this place is looking a tad bit different now than what I was expecting. I was expecting this to be a little bit more grippy than it is right now, but it's already slicking up a lot right now, so that's going to make things interesting in these final few heat races. What are these guys going to try to do to get a little bit of an advantage over everyone? Although, of course, this is kind of how the A main is going to look when it comes to track conditions.
Yeah, the A main is going to be a little bit interesting as well. Any preferred spots that, if you were on track, Devin, that you would prefer to run in terms of lines?
Well, something that always seems to get overlooked is that the inside typically does still have some moisture. I think we saw a few guys try to use that earlier, but you got to get so slowed down. And this track is so wide. It's so inviting, saying, hey, slide up, use me. When sometimes, though, the bottom and using that berm can be a lot of help.
Well, it's going to be 2 drivers going home, or going into the B main, I should say, as we will have a 5-car field here. Roger Woody in the 09 has control of the field, slows up just a little bit, at least holds up the field as the green flag flies in. It's a great start on the outside by Aiden Young in terms of acceleration, but he takes to the top side, as well as Michael Redding directly behind him. And it's going to be a little bit of an outside advantage as Donnie Moore on the inside will go side by side with Steven Speeds, and he'll drop back to the back of the field, maybe playing a little bit of the waiting game here. As up for the top side, it's going to be the 69 of Aiden Young, passing the 09 of Roger Woody up on the top side. So far, it looks like the 69 of Aiden Young will be utilizing the top side to its greatest effect so far tonight.
Woody got a little loose there, and he lost all of his momentum. The reason why you run the high side is to gain momentum down the straightaway, but when you get loose like that, you lose everything. Aiden Young took advantage. He's in the lead now. Something that people overlook when running a slick track is how careful you have to be on throttle. You get on that throttle just a little bit too hard, and that car just wants to rip right around.
And right now, with the outside lane starting to become a little bit more prominent, Steven Spears, as we ride on board, he is just behind Roger Woody, who barely over-rotates just that ever so much off turn number 2. And that's going to leave Spees in control for 3rd place for the time being up on the top side. Roger Woody, unfortunately, doesn't seem to have the preferred line. He's trying to figure out which line is going to work for him. Speeds goes inside. Woody now takes to the top side. He tries his game at it, but unfortunately, it just worked out too much for him for the time being.
Redding now looking ahead, trying to hunt down Aiden Young as they head into turn 3. Slide job looking into turn 4. Not going to be able to clear him, though. Aiden Young still your leader, coming off of 4, coming just past halfway.
And so far, it's a drag race. Redding tries again to the inside. Slide job attempt again, but no, it's not going to work out. I'm pretty sure he wants to throw it up all the way to the top side, but I think he knows that it's not really going to be worth it, not worth the sacrifice. Yet Redding again tries the inside, slides up top directly in front of Aiden Young, who gives him a little bit of a tap as they go up the top side in 3 and 4. 3 laps to go this time by. Speed's closing in on this battle between the top 2.
You dirt bike riders watching had to have loved that. A beautiful block pass on that slide job there, and now Steven Speeds is looking to find a way into this mashup in the top 2.
Right now, Speeds is using the inside lane compared to the top side that your front 2 are running and making a little bit of contact with. Young looks to the inside, but right now, Redding seems to be very much in control for now. But here comes Steven Speeds down to the inside of Aiden Young in turns 1 and 2.
Speeds is making some really great moves on the inside. You can see him get right up on that groove and find a way to get some tacky stuff, some moisture onto those tires. And hey, if you want to pass someone, you can't do what the guy in front of you is doing, right? That's exactly what Speeds is trying out here, and also could be some valuable information when it comes for the A feature.
White flag this time by Michael Redding in control of the lead. Aiden Young second place. Steven Speeds follows suit in third place. Will Aiden Young make a last-ditch effort and dive down to the inside? Top 3 transfers. I'm pretty sure he's definitely hoping for that. Redding goes to the inside, slides up the racetrack into the outside wall. Hard contact. Aiden Young runs the inside lane, but it won't be enough. Michael Redding advances in first place. Second place, Aiden Young, and Steven Speeds with a quiet third place finish.
Boy, Redding, I guess he wanted to see how far he can push it, and that was just about how far you could push it, apparently, there. But as you see, less drivers using the middle of the track as it continues to slick off. That's moving everyone up higher. Eventually, the high side is going to get slicked off, too, and that's going to make things even more interesting when we get into the longer races for the Constellation. In the feature, how are things going to change there? So we have heat race number 4 down on the grid, Gary.
Final heat race is going to be your starting lap. John Wilson in the 52. Ron Snyder starts second. Third place will be Brad Speidel. Matt Janowski starts fourth, and fifth place, Devin, is defending champion Tyler Jackson. How much of an upset would it be if Tyler Jackson was not able to make it in? I know it's a very, very obvious call for commentator's curse there, but Tyler Jackson has been making his way in pretty much every single time, and again, there's no stopping him at this point.
Yeah, and even to that point, though, of the announcer's curse, unfortunately, you look back at that first heat race, and coming all the way from the back, Justin Morton won that race. But the deeper we go into heat races, the less we're seeing the leader come from the back to win the race. Now, that might kind of be line selection as the track continues to slick off. But hey, maybe that's a little bit of bad luck for Tyler Jackson. But I don't know if he's calling his line here, going to the outside. Technically, you're fifth, third row inside, buddy. But hey, if he wants to run that cushion straight off the green, hey, more power to you. And that might be showing his hand right there. Hey, I'm going straight to the cushion, guys. Watch out.
Yeah, he was already running the top side there in the background, just off camera. So I'm pretty sure he's trying to get a feel for what he is expecting. So we'll see how this final heat plays out. Another 8 laps, top 3 transfer. 2 will go to the B main, and we'll see what these drivers have in store with John Wilson in control in the 52 on your right-hand side. Left-hand side on the driver's side, John Wilson holds up just a little bit, waiting, and he goes on the pedal, maybe a little bit too late with a 00. Matt Janowski appearing to give Ron Snyder a little bit of a tap on the top side, but immediately to the outside goes Tyler Jackson as for 3 wide for the lead off turn 2.
Jackson almost touching that right rear fender right up onto the wall. We have contact. Leader into the fence.
Brad Speidel and John Wilson, they managed to continue going, and that immediately guarantees Tyler Jackson a top 3 finish. So I guess that top side definitely did help him out for sure, just running it straight off the bat. As Jackson goes way down to the inside, can he get 2 passes in 1 corner? Not quite, but it does get by Matt Janowski. He stays on the inside as the number 8. He'll try and go down to the inside again as Ron Snyder and Janowski both run up the top side for the time being. Very surprised that no one really is using the inside lane for defense as of yet, as now it will be Jackson alongside Snyder for the lead.
You see Jackson quickly pulled side by side. That easily gives him a chance to get a slide job in. Ron Snyder trying to cross him over, but just Jackson's going to have too much momentum on the outside. New leader here in heat number 4 coming to complete lap number 3.
Right now is pretty much all set and done for Tyler Jackson, so we could be seeing at the moment, we're going to be seeing a little bit of an interesting battle between Morton and Jackson for the rest of this event for the A main. Right now for the final spot in the transfer position, we're buying on board with Matt Shinosky, but does have lurking a little bit behind him is Brad Speidel. He managed to recover just ever so slightly. He's running the inside lane at number 76. Right now he looks to be closing the gap just ever so slightly. And that time by at the start-finish line is 24.5 for Matt Shinosky, as well as 24.5 for Brad Speidel, but very heavily looking towards the 24.6 section of the lap times.
Right now, it's follow the leader for everyone except for Speidel trying to find a way to claim his way into the A main, but might be starting to run out of time as we come to 3 to go, and Tyler Jackson starting to run away from the field.
Tyler Jackson immediately setting the pace once again, showing how and why he is the defending series champion. Right now, it could be a little bit of a lurking battle for second place, but Shinosky and Snyder, they seem to be relatively even on their lap times, as well as the 76 of Speidel, so they've all kind of peaked, I think, at this point in terms of their lap times, and now they're just running equal times.
Yeah, just about as they come across the line again here. Something to note before we get into the constellation and the feature. Sometimes it's meaningful, sometimes it's not, but the placement of the start-finish line here at Knoxville is actually very far down the front straightaway here. Front straightaway 80 foot, the back straightaway is only 60 foot long. And I just want to bring that up in case it might come in handy a little bit later on in tonight's action.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays off with the white flag flying this time by for the number 8 of Tyler Jackson. He has absolutely nobody in sight behind him for the most part. He's got a very comfortable margin as he makes his way up on the top side through turns 3 and 4. Rounding the corners, Tyler Jackson is going to be one of the 3 to advance to the feature race. Following him right behind as Tyler Jackson crosses the finish line and wins, it will be Ron Snyder second place, third place Matt Shinosky, Brad Speidel, and John Wilson going into the B main. And the drivers advancing from that is going to be, at this moment, only one driver advances. The winner of this constellation will advance to the feature. 12 laps are on tap with your starting grid as follows. It's going to be your first 5 of Joe Segala in first. Brendan Myers starts in second. Roger Woody third place. Fourth place will be Brad Speidel. Fifth place is Jared Shepard. Devin?
Brock Lovett will be starting off in 6th. Johnny Moore in the 26th will be in 7th. John Wilson will start things off in 8th place in the 52. Spencer Gray in the 93 in 9th. And rounding out the field, Todd Liston in the 87 in this constellation.
Of course, 12 laps, those extra 4 laps can do a lot. And we'll see how this plays out, especially now that we have essentially pretty much 19 drivers already locked in, going to be double checking over on my side. But for the time being, it looks to be a little bit of moisture as the track continues to rubber in. Very surprised that no one is running in the light stuff as of yet.
Yeah, we'll see how that changes, because the track that we end with here in the constellation will be the track that we're going to run with in the A main. As the inside and the middle continues to slick off, I think that we're going to see more guys use the outside. And here in the Bootleg Racing League, the leader does have lane choice, and so Joe Segala is going to start off on the outside row here. And so that might just be what I was thinking about. Might be trying to push the cushion here all constellation race.
So, quick update on who is advancing. It's going to be actually now the top 8 drivers, as that has just now been updated. The top 8 drivers will advance to tonight's feature. 2 drivers from this race will be going home. So, it's all that pressure has been pretty much relieved by pretty much everyone except all 2 drivers. So, we'll see how this plays out. Brendan Myers in control of the field for the start. Actually, no, Joe Segala in control of the field. Sorry, he opts for the top side. As the pace truck pulls off, it's Joe Segala in the 81 in control of the field. 8 advance to go home, and it's going to be all within 12 laps. And that decision will be found out as we go green flag racing, and already a little bit of contact in the middle of the field, and someone got really roughed up. So the 09 of Roger Woody, as he tries to hang on to it, very staggered 3 to 4 wide off turn number 2, as right now it's side by side between Segala and Myers for the lead as they head down off through 3 and 4.
Myers trying to use that inside lane there 2 by 2 as we have contact way in the back. Looks like Roger Woody once again involved, but we're still top 4. Put a blanket over him as Myers gains some traction on the inside lane here. New leaders, the 25.
Roger Woody and John Wilson made contact, with Roger Woody getting the absolute worst of that as we're 3 wide for second place, nearly. Somebody was looking through the middle. That was the 76 Brad Speidel. He's trying to make himself known, maybe get a little bit of bragging rights as well, but unfortunately for Roger Woody, he has so much steering damage that he had to take a tow and really could not bring that back through the field, as you now see Tom Liston setting the fastest lap of the heat so far. This last chance qualifier, rather. Quite interesting to see how mid-pack can kind of work and what different lines are helping him out.
Brock Lovett fighting for second. He was one of your fastest qualifiers of the night, starting the back of his heat race, and just couldn't make his way through, and now here he is moving all the way up, looking for P2 on the inside of Joe Segala.
Right now, Lovett tries to go to the inside lane. Amazing shot with his bow here just in front of Brad Speidel. He's just watching this happen in front of him. As he'll try and make a move, he got really close. I think he stopped himself as well, because if he continued any further with that extra momentum, pretty sure he would have tapped the quarter panel of that 66 of Brock Lovett. Right now, it looks like, I think, as the 76 continues to get close to the quarter panel, I think the top 8 is all set in stone at the moment, as you can see there on your timing tower. Unfortunately for Donnie Moore, and Roger Woody, unfortunately they are pretty much out, and they will be guaranteed to be going home for the time being unless someone can continue out on the track. But at the moment, doesn't seem to be so. Right now, that battle for second place is continuing as, Brendan Myers is kind of running away with this right now.
Absolutely. Myers with almost about a quarter straightaway gap between him and Joe Segala. So everyone's in, but you still want to be aggressive. Not aggressive enough to take someone out of their transfer spot, but aggressive enough to try to move up one more spot and one more spot. When we hit the A main coming on up, Segala with a great run off of turn 4.
Joe Segala trying to run that top side, is staggered 3 wide through turns 1 and 2 for second place. Segala with a great burst of momentum up on the outside. He could have made it to the inside lane. He decided to off the top side as Myers goes to the inside, and just like that, it's almost like the start and first few opening laps of this last chance qualifier, where everyone is stacked up with each other as there's a single file line for the most part, but immediately going into the corners you see how much different these drivers have. A 98 minus, and 98 gets tagged by Todd Liston. J.R. Shepard goes around, and the caution is out for the first time of the night in general.
Yeah, that was a tough one there. 2 worlds colliding as those guys got a little bit of loose as these corners continue to slick on off, and hopefully what I think he was going for there, J.R. Shepard was trying to find his way to cut across the back rear end of Brad Speidel, and ends up instead finding the nose of Todd Liston instead, and that's just the dangers of this super wide track here. Try to cut inside, he had a hole there, but oh no, wait, there was a nose on my left rear quarter panel.
Todd Liston, I think, hit the berm just a little bit as well, and that kind of messed him up as well. It really helped him out in his favor as we ride on board with Todd Liston here for the second portion of the replay, and we should see the left side come up just a little bit. Yep, and yeah, it was a momentum difference as well, so definitely didn't help too much, but nothing more than just a simple spin. But right now, interestingly enough, this is when we're going to wonder next time at the start finish line if we're either going to get the 1 to go signal and a 1-lap shootout, or this race will be ending under caution. So all eyes will be on the pace truck here as it rounds turns 3 and 4 and crosses the start finish line.
Looks like that pace truck's gonna come around maybe one more time. Looks like the lights are out on top at least. Nope, looks like we're still flashing. So yeah, looks like we're gonna have possibly a 1-lap shootout here as Myers has done a great job in front of the field, but as this track continues to slick off, just been a little bit loose and has been able to let Joe Segala get back into this race.
Well, moment of truth. Pace truck crosses the start finish line. Lights are out. It's going to be a 1-lap shootout. And of course, well, we already know that the entire top 8 is transferring for sure at this point, but Now it's just a matter of who is going to be finishing where. The anticipation rising, drivers wondering which lanes to choose. Well, Brandon Myers already knows what he's chosen, and that is the inside lane. And he's got a little bit of a car length, half car length back from Joe Segala, and now he starts to line up even alongside Segala. Will attempt to get the jump here on this restart. Pace truck getting ready to pull off. It's going to be a one-lap shootout between the entire top 8 who transfers into the A main no matter what. And Brendan Myers holding up the field, waiting. He's waiting, and he's on the loud pedal. White flag this time by for Brendan Myers as he dives down and stays on the inside lane. Brock Lovett looks at the inside lane as well as Joe Segala tries to run the top side as much as possible. It's going to be a side-by-side battle, nearly 3 wide. Does Brock Lovett make it 3 wide? We'll see. Does he dive? No. Todd Liston dives, and it's going to be a side-by-side drag race. Segala on the outside, Myers on the inside, Lovett on the further inside, trying to make it 3 wide. It's going to be a drag race for the last chance qualifier, and Joe Segala by half a car length makes it into the top spot. The entire top 8 advances being Joe Segala, Myers, Lovett, Speidel, Wilson, Liston, Gray, Shepard, and that is pretty much going to be it. And now it's a 5-minute warm-up. Very impressive finish for that final heat race. And now it's a matter of just wearing in the track. 20% track usage right now for this warm-up session, and now the track usage just depends on how many drivers go out and how many will run in these 5 minutes. And Devin, I'm pretty sure that you know that these tracks can change a lot within so much as 3 minutes.
Oh, absolutely, because in some ways, imagine going out and practicing on iRacing, and you go, okay, in like 30 laps, okay, the track is changing, right? Well, you got 20 cars on track. They're all making laps. Within 3 laps, that's 60 laps on the track. So just think about, 10 laps in, that's a quarter of the race, and you already have 200 laps on this track. And that can change so quickly because the rubber comes off the tire, it slicks over the track. And we saw in that Constellation race, Segala in turns 1 and 2 on that final restart, he used that middle lane. It had moisture in it, but it was almost deceiving because the exit of the corner was slicked off. You got to know where that corner slicks off at. You can gain all that momentum, having all that moisture in the middle, kind of ease off the gas a little bit once you get that slick stuff on exit, and you can still pound it down the straightaway and have a ton of momentum.
Yeah, that momentum will definitely matter. And you can see in the top right, that fastest lap just changing every few seconds or so. And right now it's Ron Snyder out in top with that fastest lap, but well, it is 11:02 and closing into 11:03 in sim time for Knoxville Raceway. And right now, well, temperatures are relatively the same, really. It's only 67 degrees, partly cloudy, and the air temperature, track temperature still remains at 60. Not much of a change in terms of that temperature, but the wind is definitely playing a little bit of an effect as it moves around.
Absolutely. And you gotta love Knoxville Raceway, sprint car capital of the world. It's also the home of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and the museum. You can see that giant building out in turn 2 next to the Brian Clausen Suite Tower as well. Knoxville been around a while, much like most of the historic racetracks. Started as a horse track. That was back in the late 1800s. Held their first automobile race in 1901. They were holding high school football games in the infield. What a view that would be today. But they started running weekly back in 1954 and has evolved into what is the greatest race in all sprint car racing, the Knoxville Nationals for both the 360s and the 410s. No longer really running street stocks. The last time that Knoxville ran street stocks was back on April 28th, 2013. Lance Borgman took the win in the number 76. It's great to be able to have iRacing bring out some stock cars onto this beautiful Knoxville Raceway here in Knoxville, Iowa.
And right now, for the time being, I'm pretty sure that's where Bristol got their inspiration, really, to have a football field in the middle of their racetrack as well. A little bit of the outline that you could see in iRacing. So it's quite interesting to see how sometimes things can come full circle in a sense, no pun intended. Right now we're taking a look right now at Robbie Robinson as he makes his way around, having too much luck in terms of lap times. 15th place on the timing charts, as apparently Joe Peak has also poked us and said Bowman Gray also comes to mind as well. So a little bit of a history in a sense between some tracks being able to host football events, which is quite interesting.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't you just love to go see a high school football game on a Friday night and then head back to the track the next day and watch some racing? Need that in every state.
That would be quite interesting, really, as well. Really a good weekend to remember for some fans as well. Well, it's just closing to a minute left in the warm-up session, and well, right now, wind remains southeast for the time being, and well, we continue to look at some drivers who continue to make their rounds. One being Tyler Jackson, as we take a look at him. Well, where's Justin Morton on the timing charts? 10th place, as you can see there on the left-hand side. Tyler Jackson, 2nd place. A very, very drastic change compared to the qualifying that we had earlier on, where taking a look once again, Tyler Jackson was actually 4th place in qualifying with a 23.917. Justin Morton with a 23.822. And keeping that in mind as we get to the warm-up session, well, it's 23.848 for Justin Morton, so he's a little bit slower than his qualifying time.
And right now, Ron Snyder has the fastest lap. He wasn't even top 10 in qualifying, finished 2nd in heat race number 4. He starts 8th in the A main, so we'll see if some of what he learned in that consolation race is going to carry over and help him out, try to come through, or excuse me, he was in the heat race, but let's see what some of that experience in the later heat race, helps him out with starting 8th in the A main.
Well, the checkered flag is flying for the warm-up session, and that means only one thing. It's time to go racing here at Knoxville for 40 laps. Your starting grid as follows will be Justin Morton on the pole in the 1st place position, with Dylan Schwier starting off in the 2nd place position. Michael Redding starts 3rd place. 4th place is Tyler Jackson. 5th place going to be Jared Morton. Kenny Kibbe starts off in 6th. 7th place be Aiden Young. 8th place, Ron Snyder. 9th place, Robbie Robinson. And 10th place will be Austin Belke. Devin?
Starting off in row number 6, in 11th to 55 is Steven Spies. Matt Chinovsky in the 00 will be on the outside starting in 12th. Row number 7, the number 81 of Joe Segala will be on the inside of number 25, Brennan Myers in 14th. In row 8, Brock Lovett will man the number 66 car in 15th. Brad Speidel on the outside of him in 16th in the 76. John Wilson in row number 8 in the 52. Spencer Gray starting off in 18th in the number 93. Todd Liston in the final row in 19th in the 87. J.R. Shepard will round out the field in 20th as the fireworks display over Knoxville.
I always love the fireworks before these races. It is absolutely incredible to see just how the layout is, and I'm pretty sure it's even more incredible to see in real life. But this aerial spot is the best as we get ready. The fans are ready. Everyone, hopefully all of you at home, are ready to get some popcorn, because this is going to be quite an exciting event here. Just going off of the last week's event that we had, where it was nearly a 3-wide 2 weeks ago, and it was nearly a 3-wide finish. It practically was almost a 4-wide finish as well. Right now it is just a matter of time to see who places where by the end of tonight. Justin Morton on pole. He is tied for 2nd place in the point standings coming into this event. He sits in the front row in 1st place, ready and raring to go for these next 40 laps. Tyler Jackson lurking in 3rd place, 4th place rather, on the outside lane. And right now, it's going to be quite an exciting event. Pace truck pulls off. Justin Morton in control of the field as we go green flag racing from Knoxville Raceway here. And Justin Morton immediately with a even start, actually, with Dylan Schwier as they all make their way into turns 1 and 2 down to the back straightaway.
Coming to the back straight, everyone still double file down the way. Dylan Schwier has an edge here on Justin Morton for the top spot as everyone slides on up the track in 3 and 4.
Right now, Justin Morton leads almost at the start-finish line. Actually, he will not this time, but it's going to be Dylan Schwier leading the top side. Well, quite literally also the top side, as the majority of the field leads to the top side. As Justin Morton tries to hang on to the inside lane, Tyler Jackson following suit on the outside, just drag racing now off of turn number 4 as they'll make their way off the corner. Morton with a little bit of an advantage on the inside lane, but that can only hang on for so long as they're 3 wide for the lead. Jackson saying, well, you know what, I'm just going to make it 3 wide and just make my way up through myself, as we're still just a staggered 3 wide. It's going to be up on the top side. Michael Redding now as Jackson had left that outside lane open. He may be falling back quicker than Justin Morton on the inside lane, as the top two up on the top side nearly make contact between the 8 and the 30.
Take a look at 5th. Kenny Kibbe just sitting back watching the action. He's going to go down to the berm here as he watches these guys battle 3 wide, 1st and 2nd across the way. He might want to get in on some of that action as he looks to the inside of Tyler Jackson. Now just kind of peeking around the track. No one's too close behind him. No one's too close in front of him. Able to kind of feel out the track. Where do you want to go? As Morton and Schweer still door to door, side by side, trying to figure out who's going to be in P1.
At this point, it's an either-or suggestion as it's 3 wide. Reading with a slip up on the top side, and it's going to be the 05 stuck in the middle now as they are 3 wide off turn number 2, down the back straightaway into turn 3. Morton leads just barely on the inside lane with that advantage into the corner, but Redding now with the outside advantage, trying to bar off the corner, but still 3 wide for the time being at the start-finish line. And the 05 stuck in the middle. Dylan Schweer trying to figure out where to go. Well, he doesn't have to anymore, so the caution is out. It's going to be someone upside down, Ron Snyder, in turns 1 and 2.
Boy, don't you just hate when a caution ends some racing like that, going 3 wide with some issues here a little bit further back in the middle of the pack. Fighting for real estate, bunch of cars get together and eventually just kind of ends up in rear end there and flipping around down the front straightaway.
Now you see it was the slight shunt from the 00 that really set Ron Snyder up and over quite literally by the 00 of Matt Shinosky. And unfortunately, as we ride on board, just try to move to the inside, and well, Snyder caught it, but quicker than Shinosky was expecting.
And that's just a matter of fighting for real estate. This track is so wide. There's so many lanes to utilize. But these are race car drivers, guys. They're going to use every single inch, right? And so that's just a matter of, I want this little bit, but the same driver wants the same thing. You just can't get caught up with, especially this early in the race, fighting for real estate. Got to give a little bit of give right now before you start to take within the last 10 laps. But Gary, I got a race trend for you. I'm going to jinx the entire field right here. I know I will. The last 2 times the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series has raced at Knoxville, they have only had 1 caution in total in both of their races so far. Are we going to go 30 laps green here?
Well, considering that you know that you jinxed it, I'm going to predict no. But we'll see though. Considering that it's happened before, I mean, we could be having a we could be going 3 for 3, but it's just a matter of really waiting to see if the pace truck will even come out again. So we'll see how this plays out. Redding opts for the top side as the lights are out on the pace truck. Schweer will be going to the inside as a result. Justin Morton in 3rd place, your pole sitter for qualifying overall. Tyler Jackson just alongside him as well. And well, think about this. Michael Redding, 4th place in point standings coming into this race, just a few points behind Justin Morton. Think of how good a day it could be for Michael Redding to get a win here. But Tyler Jackson, of course, here to say, no, that's not going to happen. Well, we'll see what happens here in these next 30 or so laps, 31 laps at the start-finish line as the pace truck pulls off. Green flag in the hand of the starter as Redding holds up just a little bit, waiting. He goes green, and it's full throttle by everybody here as they make their way on the top side. Redding in control of the top side as Schweer has the inside preference for the time being.
Once again, double file way deep, but how about Dylan Schweer able to make it a little bit of room? Almost has to be better than the last time these guys started. We're 3 wide, only a few laps in for the lead. It's starting to get a little bit tight. Tyler Jackson, Aiden Young trying to follow Michael Rain up on the cushion as they continue to push that cushion out right up to the wall.
30 laps to go at the start-finish line. Justin Morton using a little bit of that berm on the inside lane as we're practically 2 by 2 going into turns 3 and 4. Pretty much about turn top 6 or so. Take a few cars deciding on where to go. Tyler Jackson kind of stuck, not exactly in the middle, but more of in an odd place for the time being. He's just looking at Michael Rain at this point, not knowing, well, he knows he can make it 3 wide, but he doesn't really know when exactly to make the move as of yet, waiting for everyone to file out. As the 05 of Dylan Schweer, well, this might be the opportunity for Tyler Jackson as Schweer falls back on the inside lane.
Aiden Young has been experimenting how close to the wall he can get. He's really been getting a lot of good runs off the outside lane. Watch him here on the outside, that black number 69. He's right up against that wall. He closes in on Tyler Jackson, and he actually has a run here down the back straightaway, but just because he's so high on exit, he can't utilize that we'll see if he can make some adjustments, because obviously Michael Redding is showing, follow me to the promised land, boys. The high side's the way to victory lane.
And right now, Tyler Jackson has that line exactly what he wants, and that's what Aiden Young needs to do. He needs to follow right behind Tyler Jackson. And of course, well, then again, Aiden Young might know something that we don't, but there he goes, entering a little bit, or exiting a little bit lower off the corner, going to be the number 69. But Redding is pulling away, quite interestingly enough, for the time being. He's letting the rest of the top 5 here battle it out amongst themselves on the inside and the outside lane for the time being.
Yeah, not necessarily what I expected after that first green flag run. Redding in the lead as we have a bunch of calamity going on behind everyone else. You still see everyone trying to battle 3 wide, 4 wide, and even more so in the middle of the pack. Plenty of great racing all around the track right now.
Yeah, everyone's trying to figure out where to go. A little bit of contact between Aiden Young and Tyler Jackson there in 3 and 4. And I think that means Aiden Young might have found the right line for the time being, but the back bumper of the number 8 of Jackson is definitely a little bit bent at this point. A little bit of course, again, these cars are being built like tanks. It doesn't really affect these drivers all too much. I mean, you see Tyler Jackson running up on the top side. Aiden Young trying to slip on the outside lane with the opening. He'll be 3 wide for second place. All the way down on the inside, it's going to be Dylan Schweer. So they both make contact. They go 5 and the 8. They slide down to the inside lane. Tyler Jackson makes a slide job attempt on the 69 of Young, but Young squeezes by on the outside lane. He'll move to second for the time being, and I think with Schweer on the inside, that means Jackson is not able to capitalize with the move to the middle lane.
That's just how high, as we see right now, as he's up in the wall, that's just how high on the track Aiden Young was. Not only could he make a car lane on the outside of Jackson, but when Jackson tries to slide down for a block pass, Jackson can't even get high enough up on the corner to get to where Aiden Young is. Now it's time to try to reel in Michael Redding here, as he might have his first little bit of action in this second green flag run.
Yeah, Michael Redding with a huge charge out front. It might be coming to an end soon. We'll see how this plays out, as right now it's still pretty close between the rest of the field, essentially entirely. Dylan Schweer continues, you see there, to opt for the inside lane, trying to get a run on Tyler Jackson for third place. There's nothing doing as of quite yet, but he's determined to make that inside lane work. So is Justin Morton off in 5th, and just in the background, Steven Speeds makes a little bit of contact with the outside wall. Nothing too much, as Aiden Young looks to be closing the gap. The last time around, Aiden Young 2/10 faster than Michael Redding.
Redding, Young, Jackson ripping the lip. Schweer, Morton, Speeds behind him on the inside. Kenny Kibbe 7th, Melton 8th, Robinson 9th, Noski rounding out the top 10 as we come to halfway here with a 40 to go at Knoxville.
20 laps complete at the start finish line, 20 laps to go, and I think Aiden Young might be wondering, really worth defending the inside lane at this point? Of course not. I mean, we saw him squeeze by a pass on the outside of Tyler Jackson just a few laps ago. So I'm pretty sure Aiden Young is going to be needing something a little bit more than a magnet to keep him from moving up off the top sides. Both top 2 drivers are in the outside wall. Redding more than Aiden Young. Tyler Jackson's on the inside, and so is the rest of the field at the time. But right now, they both managed to hang on to him for now. Tyler Jackson really on the inside lane still could not get enough momentum. As we ride on board, taking a look at how close the top 2 are, nearly bumper to bumper. And, well, they managed to hang on to it. Do they do? Yeah, a little bit of a lower entry from Redding. I think he knows, but he and both Young still continue to make contact with the outside lane, with the outside wall in turns 3 and 4.
The way you're seeing there's a combination of, hey, I want to keep pushing the cushion up and up and up. Well, there's a wall there. It can't keep going up. And also, it's starting to get slicker on the top. So you need more throttle control. You need more patience as well, as now you're up against the wall and you're going to start slipping and sliding more and more as this race goes on. It's going to be all about adapting. As you see, Tyler Jackson is adapted, and he's found a way around on the inside lane.
Yeah, Tyler Jackson has immediately adapted to the inside lane that time by. He could be going by Michael Redding here for the lead as he goes to the inside. He brings the 05 of Schweer into this as we're nearly drag racing off the turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Right now, Aiden Young continues to run the top side a little bit of a lower lane as well. And you see there on the inside, Ron Snyder. He might be pulling it into pit road, to avoid a caution. It's a drag race for the lead this time by Jackson. Inside, outside is going to be Michael Redding. A little bit of contact with the berm for Jackson on the corner entry. Young tries to make it 3 wide nearly, but Redding closes the door.
For 2 laps, we had the top 6 single file. For 2 laps, they couldn't hold on for 3s. We are now 2 abreast 3 rows deep, but we got a caution out on the track right when the racing gets good again, Gary.
Well, you jinxed it, and it was a 25 of Brendan Myers in turns 1 and 2. A little bit of contact with Matt Shinoski. It wasn't too much as we come to a replay. There it is, the contact with Shinoski. Almost had it, but unfortunately that last contact with John Wilson is the cause of the caution. And we're going to take another look here as they make their way down the front straightaway on the replay.
Myers has got to be thankful there that that car didn't tip over. Sometimes when you spin out at that speed and you come down and you hit that inside berm, that thing can just put you right on your roof. You won't flip around, you'll just go on your roof and you're going to have to tow, but able to keep all 4 tires on the ground there as we have a caution. There's the curse, guys. You're welcome. Everyone who was wondering, that was it right there. That's the curse, but still, we're probably going to go green flag here with over 10 to go, and with how these front runners have been rolling, man, we still got plenty of action coming up, Gary.
Right in front of Segala, almost the seas practically parting, and his lights remain on the pace truck for the time being. And yeah, with these final few laps, it's going to be absolutely hectic for Tyler Jackson, of all people. He's been stuck in the second row on these restarts throughout these, pretty much throughout this entire race, really. I'm wondering if he's starting to get to him. I wonder if we're starting to get to him and say, I wonder if he's going to be maybe a little bit more daring, essentially, with these moves down to the inside lane. And well, we'll see how this plays off as the lights are out on the pace truck.
Really interested to see what Aiden Young can do on the outside lane here, because what I'm really interested in is how much more he can push that cushion, how much more you can stay in control until it's too much, you're in the wall. That inside lane has been working. Tyler Jackson has been showing us you can pass and make moves on the inside lane. When will the top possibly become, maybe not obsolete, but just hard to handle, and you need to move down to the bottom?
And this point, we'll see Redding was running the entirety of the top side. Will he continue to do the same as the pace truck pulls off? Just over 10 laps to go at the start-finish line, this time by. As the green flag flies, does Tyler Jackson immediately make a move to the inside? No, but he does give a little bit of a bump to Redding. He goes onto the berm, just manages to hang on to it, helping that car rotate. Eddie Young stuck 3 wide up on the top side for 3rd place, down the back straightaway.
Coming into 3, Redding has a little bit of room behind him as they are 3 abreast in the middle of the corner. Jackson might just have a way to find his front bumper on the quarter panel of Michael Rain if he can get enough momentum off the corners. And here comes Justin Morton on the inside as well.
Pole sitter Justin Morton squeezed in between Tyler Jackson and Kenny Kibbe. And right now for Morton, I'm pretty sure he is chomping at the bit right now. He wants to get into the top 3. He wants to get to the lead like he was in qualifying, but he has to get through quite a number of drivers first, most notably being Tyler Jackson. Slides up the racetrack on corner entry, maybe a bit too much. That's going to help Aiden Young get to the outside as we're nearly 4 wide off turn number 2.
That move almost kind of worked because Jackson is actually door-to-door, side-to-side, so he can kind of still stick around. He can get some momentum, find a grip on the bottom lane. And dirt racing is all about adapting. You saw Michael Redding just head straight down to the bottom, and he's trying to gap the field right now. It's Jackson trying to find a way to the back bumper. Also a slide job there. We're almost 4 wide off of 2, Gary.
Practically 4 wide just for a quick moment in the middle of turns 1 and 2 there that time around. That looked almost like a carbon copy of the last lap beforehand. Probably wouldn't even know the difference if we show it side by side, but right now Aiden Young on the inside makes a little bit of contact with Tyler Jackson. Aiden Young gets the worst of it, and that means Michael Redding goes to the inside lane this time by, continues. Tyler Jackson opting for the top side, 3 wide for about 4th place, nearly now for 3rd place, as Young, Schwier, and Morton are side by side for the final spot of the podium, making their way down to turns 3 and 4. Tyler Jackson has closed the gap now to Michael Redding.
The hunt is on, right on the back bumper. Jackson looking for win number 3 on the year. Your defending champion here in the Dirt Street Stock Series, and he is utilizing a bunch of different lanes. He finds that moisture in 1 and 2, gets a great blast off of turn 2. We're side by side into 3.
Tyler Jackson with the preferred lane on the outside lane. Michael Redding with his preferred lane on the inside lane. It's a drag race with 6 laps to go at the start-finish line. Redding got that time, but when does Redding decide to opt for the top side? That's going to be the question. Or does even Justin Morton able to close the gap, or even Aiden Young? Because at the moment, it's going to be a still side-by-side battle with 5 laps to go. Redding tries a slide job on Tyler Jackson. That's going to give him the inside lane, and maybe not the best move as they go door to door, rubbing doors and tires across off turn number 4. 5 laps to go this time by.
Redding's got that Evil Knievel helmet on under that cockpit. You know he's ready to rock and roll when the time comes. Jackson slides up. We're door to door again. It's this time they're swapped. The other direction is Jackson is on top and Redding's back where he was earlier on the inside. Slides up. Almost bangs doors. More tight racing up front here as we come off a board.
4 laps to go this time by, and it continues to be a very close battle between Redding and Jackson. Does Redding slide job Tyler Jackson? No, he looked like it, but they do make contact off turn number 2 ever so slightly. They continue to keep battling, but you think that how long these drivers are continuing to battle, how much will this bring the rest of the field into play as Redding has finally cleared Jackson with just 3 laps to go at the start-finish line.
Justin Morton, Aiden Young licking their chops. Leaders do something stupid. We're right here to capitalize as Jackson throws a huge slider on Michael Redding, crossing back over Redding back into the lead, side by side off into turn 3.
Great move by Redding off of turn number 2 to capitalize. Jackson immediately moves to the inside for the inside lane, trying to use the berm to help the car turn as well, and it works for the time being. Jackson to the inside, 2 laps to go, Redding up top.
You have to remember the start-finish line is 2/3 away down the front straightaway. 2 to go, side by side. Redding finds another grip. There's moisture in the middle of turns 1 and 2. We'll see how they utilize that as Aiden Young's going to push the cushion again. Morton following the tracks of Tyler Jackson.
White flag this time by. It's Michael Redding up top in 30. Tyler Jackson down low in the 8. On blue. Sliding through the corner is going to be Michael Redding. He gives a tap to Tyler Jackson, but that's going to give him a little bit of a speed boost down off of turn number 2, and that might be all said and done for Tyler Jackson. Redding tries to send it up on the top side, but it won't work. Tyler Jackson with an amazing battle with Michael Redding. He'll lead off of turn number 4 and win here at Knoxville Raceway.
How about that kind of show? Redding, unfortunately, falling all the way back to 4th on that final exchange. But Tyler Jackson, right place, right time, makes the moves work, makes the slide job work. Win number 3 on the season for the defending champion and extending his points lead.
And that, of course, is why he is the defending champion, as the fireworks on track have ended. And, well, the fireworks in the air have started. An absolutely incredible race. Congratulations to Tyler Jackson, as he will absolutely, well, he'll do his best to burn it down here on the front straightaway. But in the meantime, we are going to go to a quick break while you see our upcoming races, the unofficial results, and of course the top 3 drivers that will be interviewed here post-race. Stay tuned to the Global SimRacing Channel here at Knoxville Raceway. Back live here at Knoxville Raceway in Iowa with an absolutely incredible finish here for tonight. A great race, 2 cautions as opposed to 1 caution in the past races here in the Bootleg Racing League. Your finishing results here for tonight are Tyler Jackson finishing in first place after an incredible battle with Michael Redding. Justin Morton, after qualifying on the pole, finishes second place here in the night. Aiden Young finishes third place. Michael Redding second to fourth in the final lap after a last-ditch attempt to send it. Unfortunately, he falls by 2 positions, but still rounds out with the top 5. Steven Spees, the 55 with a quiet night, finishes appropriately enough in P5. Dylan Schweer finishes in 6th. 7th place went to Kenny Kibbe. Jared Shepard, 8th place. 9th place was Jared Melton. And 10th place was Todd Liston.
Outside the top 10, Brad Speidel finishing off in 11th. Brock Lovett in 12th. Robbie Robinson ends the night in 13th. And 14th, Brennan Myers. Matt Chinosky, 15th. Joe Segala in 16th. John Wilson takes home P17. Austin Belkey in 18th. Spencer Gray in 19th. And Ron Snyder rounds out your 20-car field at Knoxville Raceway. And
we have your race winner, Tyler Jackson. My goodness, I have no words at the moment. How do you do this? That was an absolutely incredible battle between you and Redding, and you managed to come out on top after sitting in pretty much the second row on every single restart for the most part, and you still managed to get it done.
Yeah, it seemed like the timing of those cautions was just killing me. It seemed like I'd get a run, and then I feel like we'd be 3 wide, and I'd always get the short end of the stick on that on the caution placement. But that was an awesome race. Michael drove me. It was a really hard battle, but it was clean. Neither one of us did anything over the edge, but we were both pretty happy with that. So congrats to him on an awesome race.
An absolutely incredible race to watch as well up here from the booth. 2 cautions as well. And heading into the next race, just upcoming next week, I believe, as well, as last week was an off week. What are your thoughts heading into next week's event?
I guess I'm not quite sure where we're going, but I mean, my strategy is the same every time we go out on track. We go for the win.
That would be the dirt track at Lanier, the dirt configuration as well. So a little bit shorter and very tight racetrack in a sense as well.
Yeah, that's real tight. Usually the bottom's the fast way around. So if you don't win your heat and start up front, you're in for a long night.
Well, that long night has definitely paid off for you as well. Before we go ahead and let you go celebrate your win once again, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for tonight's win?
Yeah, a couple of shout outs. My girlfriend lets me do this. Sponsor Jack's EDM, NC Resources. I got Milner Media, gives me this awesome looking shark design, and Lowell for putting on this series. I guess we got mentioned we had a top 10 highlight for that Eldora 4-wide finish. So that's pretty exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, that was a second overall as well. So it was definitely an incredible finish. So hopefully we get one of those again, because these races are just absolutely incredible. Well, thanks for your time, Tyler Jackson, and we hope to talk to you again next week.
Thanks for the broadcast.
And up next for your second place finisher with Justin Morton is Devin Henry.
Mr. Quick Time tonight, coming home second also, though, in the A-Main, Justin Morton. Man, I tell you what, I know that you wanted to win the thing starting first, but got shuffled back a little bit, came back up. But take me through that final lap. You crossed the line 4th at the white, coming home in second, though, to end the race.
Yeah, I was not expecting being able to finish second there. I was thinking I was going to get third at best, and man, that was a really fun race.
You guys seem to put on a show every time you guys are out on the track. And speaking of putting on a show, tonight you guys were moving up and down, top lane, bottom lane. There were times when you got shuffled back. How did you keep yourself up in contention all race long to bring home P2 at the end of the night?
Yeah, I thought I was one of the better ones working the bottom, so I was really trying to stick there as long as possible. And I think during that really long run, I had to use the top a few times. It kind of worked for me. Both lanes worked pretty good.
Finishing second in the feature, quick time, and qualifying. Who do you got to thank for your performance tonight?
I thank TDR, my team. Thank you guys for doing the broadcast. You guys always do a great job doing these black box. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Justin. It's pretty easy when you guys put on shows like you have the past few races. Justin Morton finishing off in second. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
Time to
finally-
round out the rest of your top three. Aiden Young is with Gary Weaver.
Yeah, thanks, Devin. Well, here with Aiden Young, who qualified 15th, finished second in Heat 3, starts 7th in the feature, and came home 3rd place. Also with an amazing pass, squeezing by Tyler Jackson up on the outside at one point as well. Aiden, you are absolutely on the tear. Didn't look too good at the beginning of the night, but you definitely pulled it back.
Oh man, we struggled there during practice and qualifying a little bit, and I don't know what happened. Either the top side came in for me, or the team just went to work.
And it probably would have been a combination of both by that point. It was absolutely incredible for tonight. What was really the thing that kept you up on the top side, aside from the moisture, especially with how the inside lane became a little bit more prominent in the second half of the race?
I think it was just the cushion started coming more and more.
I definitely did seem to do so as well. So before we go ahead and let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for your 3rd place finish?
I want to thank Evil Outlaws Motorsports, Young Gun Creations, and all my sponsors, and you guys for broadcasting.
Well, we thank you for your time. We hope to talk to you again next week at Lanier. Congratulations on your 3rd place finish.
Thank you.
Before we go ahead and go, a quick change in your top 5 in points. Tyler Jackson, Bobby Rafferty, Justin Morton, Michael Redding, Steven Spees. Coming into this race where your top 5 now, it's Tyler Jackson, Justin Morton, Michael Redding, Steven Spees, and now Kenny Kibbe. So as we close out tonight with those final updated points, we'd like to give thanks to the Cruise Shop, where you can contact at 260-755-6125 or thecruiseshopfw.com. And the Cruise Shop is dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams one destination at a time. Thanks to the Bootleg Racing League for coverage of this event. And we also like to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks goes to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. And you can look there at the bottom of the screen to see how to get a hold of her great work. Thanks to the team today, co-commentator Devin Henry and director Joe Peak. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at facebook.com/Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube page and hit that shiny red subscribe button as well as the notification bell. Set your preference to all so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next race is going to be Lanier, the dirt configuration at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:10 p.m. Pacific, but you can also see the other upcoming races here listed on your screen. Mark them down on your calendar if any of them interest you. Once again, for Devin Henry and Joe Peak, I've been Gary Weaver, and until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.